Okay. Well, I see lots of familiar names, so thank you all for joining us. We have, it looks like, a nice group of both customers and some internal folks on the line. So, with that being said, we are just about to the top of the hour here. We have chat open, so feel free to list questions as Duane is presenting, and I'll try and keep an eye on those, and we can talk through those as they come. But we are very pleased and excited to have Duane Dorminey with us to talk about paint productivity. So from Matthews
Sure.
Paint. I'm going to go quiet and mute, and I'll keep an eye on the chat for you, Duane, okay?
Absolutely. And I can't see the chat screen from mine. So just speak
I'll
up or
just
let me
holler
know.
at you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Just holler. Yep. If stuff comes
Sounds
in,
good.
happy to stop and take care of that. So welcome everybody. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time today with us. Want to talk about some paint productivity things to keep in mind and run through a little presentation, but leave some time at the end for any other questions or discussion, anything. Always happy to help for you guys. If you have met me before, I'm Duane Dorminey, tech rep with Matthews Paint. My counterpart is Paul Evans, and he or I, or sometimes even both of us, jump on and work with our partner Glance to do these webinars. But Paul's already on vacation for the end of the year. So you get me today. But we are the two tech reps with Matthews, and we're here for any kind of technical information or help you need with your paint or your paint department. So let's just get right in and talk about productivity in the paint department. Sorry, I got to move something around on my screen here so I can see better. All right, so start in the production planning stage. The biggest part of production planning is knowing the jobs that are coming in your shop and what you have and your capacity to be able to do them. So each station from manufacturing to fabrication to assembly, including paint. They all have a maximum amount of work that they could do in a given day. So, understanding that component of your physical shop and what those constraints are, how much work to schedule at any given time is a huge factor in not having a bottleneck and having things run through slowly. Keeping all the departments consistent with jobs coming in and jobs going out helps keep any of the different departments from getting backloaded, paint shop included. And daily or weekly production meetings to get status updates and see where jobs are. Those certainly help as well. And before starting a job, there's approvals that are need to be had. So the worst thing is you get a job in, you get it started, and then we got to stop on this one because some person, some end user or customer or design somewhere has to give an approval on a color or a design or a layout, etc. So get all the approvals ahead of time before the job starts, and then it can flow right through. Because if you've ever needed to have us, Matthews Paint, match a color for you at our color lab, we're happy to do that, but there is a little bit of delay. It takes some time, a couple of days minimum to get the lab to find that color, mix it, and verify it. Or if you have a custom panel that needs a new one-off match, that panel's got to be shipped in, and our people have to have time to be able to scan it and hand match it by eye, and that could take a couple of weeks. So scheduling that time is important and getting all the approvals before the job starts. Inside of that, in the color world, clarifying what the proper color source is matters as well. Pantone's a big thing in our world, and there are a bunch of different Pantone decks. There's a C series deck, a plus series deck, and the year the deck was manufactured that you're referencing matters tremendously. The Pantone decks themselves tell you that those decks fade or the colors change over time, and Pantone recommends replacing their decks every 12 to 18 months. So keeping that in mind that Pantone can be a moving target and there's multiple sources from there. So finding the correct source that we need to reference to match that color, that makes a huge difference. Once you get all the approvals done and you're ready to start the job, now we got to look in our shop and make sure we can do it. So all the jobs require substrates and supplies, adhesives, material, trim cap, you name it, all the supplies, including paint. So when there's paint on a job, the paint comes in components, and the color itself could be multiple components there. There's catalyst, there's reducer. Do you use accelerator? Is this job going to require clear coat? Do I have the right primer on hand for the particular substrate that I'm working on? Checking all those boxes and making sure that all that stuff is in place, on hand, in stock before the job starts will stop a delay and keep anyone from getting pinched in those lovely emergency phone calls that you have to make to Glance or us or somewhere like, I need a gallon of this specific product and I need it right now. But that always takes delays as well when you don't have something on hand that you need. So checking that thing in your production meetings in the shop are a great place to have those discussions and check in the morning production meeting or in a weekly production meeting. Then after you have all the information, start a scheduling process. Get a flow of incoming jobs after you understand your available workload, how much work can be produced through your shop at any given time. So you're always scheduling the right amount in instead of the wavy ups and downs of being overloaded and can't keep up to some days where there's not much to do, and avoid the peaks and valleys. You want a constant stream to make things go smoother. Having all the materials on hand and starting more jobs than can be done is a guaranteed way to bottleneck one department or another. And quite often that ends up being the paint department. Next, we'll talk about the paint booth itself. So ideally, if you're using Matthews paint in your shop, you have a paint booth in your shop, be able to apply our coatings safely and efficiently. Most shops do, but there are a few exclusions to that. But if you've got a paint booth, ideal circumstance is that booth is running 5 cycles a day where you're applying paint in the booth. And the best way to run a paint booth in a paint shop is only 3 things happen inside of that paint booth, nothing else. The only thing that happens inside the paint booth is you're applying paint. The paint is flashing, which is the minimum amount of time it takes to either be able to apply more paint or to be able to handle it and move it out of the booth after the paint's been sprayed. And then if your booth bakes, there's a bake cycle that you can run, and those are the only 3 things that should happen inside the booth. All prepping, cleaning, color matching, all of that should be done before any job ever gets inside the booth. And this makes your paint booth an efficient use of time and space. So it's always being cycled through in your shop. And doing these things, you can run 5 at least paint booth cycles per day, meaning applying paint, flashing it off, getting it dry enough to apply the next layer or move on to the next job. You'll be able to get 5 cycles per day if you do all these other things. Right in front of the booth, we call this the red zone. The red zone is the area where the next job that's going in the booth is going to be prepped and sit and be made ready to go in the booth for paint application, flashing, and baking if possible. So in the red zone is where your next job is sitting. You've got substrate, you got multiple pieces. There should be a verification process to make sure all the pieces are there. The color's been verified. You've got all the products you need, including primer, color, and if clear coat is on the job, you've got clear coat on hand as well. So all the paint can be applied when it goes in. The pieces can be completely prepped, completely clean. If any masking is needed, the masking needs to happen before it goes in the booth. And then the pieces all get moved in the booth. And the only thing that happens inside after that is the actual paint application and drying. So one thing that can really help in this red zone is everyone in the shop is responsible for it. So I know there's a paint department, I know there's a fabrication department and the shipping department, and different people do different roles inside the shop. But if the paint booth itself becomes a bottleneck, if it becomes a place where jobs tend to back up and get overloaded, that red zone can be where everyone's responsible for keeping their eye on it. And if nothing is in the red zone ready to go in the booth, everybody can jump in and work together to help get the next job ready to go in the booth, so that the paint booth becomes an efficient production piece inside the shop instead of just a place where jobs tend to back up. This really helps clear the bottleneck if you implement this type of system in your shop. So after the job is in the paint booth, it's critical to use the right products and equipment when you're there. This starts with the spray gun. Quality equipment provides better, more consistent results. There's a wide range of spray guns out there. It's a big topic of conversation when we do our 2-day training classes. We talk about these. You can spend multiple thousands of dollars on a spray gun, or you can spend a couple of $100s on a spray gun, and everywhere in between. There's lots and lots of options that will give you a great finish for a low price, a good value price. Some are more maintainable than others, is the best word that I can provide. Places like Home Depot and Lowe's and Harbor Freight, they offer spray guns that work really, really well. But parts and service for those guns over time are either impossible or hard to come by. So they tend to be use it until it doesn't work well anymore, and then kind of disposable after that. You throw it away and get another one. But if you get one of the higher quality guns, you spend a few bucks more on the front end. They'll last you longer because they can be serviced and there are parts available. You can replace leaky seals or damaged fluid tips or needles. You can get replacement parts for those. But no matter what spray gun you use, cheap or expensive or in the middle, the most important thing is maintaining the equipment, keeping that spray gun clean and spraying well, because the end result of the paint product on the piece that's being sprayed, that's the tool that's delivering it. And if that spray gun is not cleaned properly and starts to spray poorly, it's going to result in bad jobs that have to be redone, which we're going to talk about coming up here at the end of this presentation. Redos are critical to avoid if all possible. And one of the easiest ways is to keep a well-maintained spray gun, keep it clean, and keep your hoses and fittings and everything in good condition. We have recommendations for all of our products, and all paint manufacturers do, I would guess, but all of our primers, all of our colors, all of our clear coats, we can recommend the right size spray gun to get, and even recommend some of our favorite options. So lots of options out there on spray guns. Then you get the paint products itself. There's different reducers available for different temperature ranges, but we talk about quite often, if you've ever done any of our other webinars or come to any of our training classes, temperature isn't the only factor you look at when you choose your reducer. They are named by temperature range. There's cool temp reducer and warm temp, hot temp, and very hot, kind of how we classify our reducers. But just as important, as equally important as the temperature is when you're spraying the product, the size of the job matters too. It is true that the cooler temp reducers tend to flash off faster and appear to give you a faster cycle time for your paint jobs, but that's not the whole picture. The paint itself, the catalyst that you have to put in the paint to make it work, all the ingredients that are mixed together in your mix cup, they all have solvent in them from the factory in the can before you ever open the can. And as the paint dries, it wants to dry from the bottom to the top. And if you use a cool temp reducer and the top of the paint layer is beginning to firm up, become solid, but it doesn't allow all of the paint solvent, excuse me, all of the solvent to evaporate out of the paint in one uniform flash cycle. Then you can trap solvents underneath the surface, and that causes more problems down the road from solvent popping or bubbles, or if you try to apply vinyl on the top after the paint's dry, there's still solvent forcing its way out and it bubbles up underneath the vinyl. All kinds of problems happen. Even the wrapping material you use for shipping gets stuck on the surface of the paint because solvent's still evaporating out of there and it got trapped underneath using that quote unquote fast reducer. So we spend a lot of time in our training classes explaining that speed, if you want speed in the painting process, speed comes from adding accelerator to the job because that drives everything after the paint job has been done. As you're spraying the paint, the reducer that you choose to put in your paint is critical importance to not only the temperature that the environment is when it's being sprayed, but also the size of the job. And the end of the story is the bigger the job is, when you get into these big pieces that are 3 feet by 5 feet and beyond, some customers spray huge, gigantic things. You really need to use the hotter temperature reducers that give you more application time so that when you're spraying it, the surface of the paint can remain open and accept its own overspray and not be drying too quickly to trap solvents underneath there. So it is a temperature and size of job thing that matters there. And do not be afraid to use the higher temperature reducers, even when the temperature is cooler, and then add an accelerator to your mix to get the speed out of the booth after the job is done. That's a big topic that we could do. We could do an entire webinar just on that, but I wanted to touch on it and make sure that I said it and it was part of this discussion as well. Another thing that helps with efficiency in the paint shop, and this is true for everything that you do, not only fabrication, assembly, lighting, but training is irreplaceable. I say this sort of as a self-fulfilling thing because part of my job is to provide the training that Matthews Paint does. But any data that you find out there, well-trained painters or well-trained workers are more efficient and make fewer mistakes. It's undeniable. So have your employees, anybody, whatever job that person is responsible for, official, manufacturer, proper training is the best way to get there and make your shop more efficient and stop clog ups from any mistakes or any other accidental problems that you run into just because you don't know what you don't know, and you'll always learn something new anytime you take training. So there's tons of resources out there. There's countless YouTube videos on paint and paint application. Matthews Paint is under the PPG umbrella of companies, and there's tons and tons of videos out there that are helpful. Inside the shop, apprentice and helper programs help tremendously for someone that's been doing a specific job for a long time successfully, to help bring the newer, the younger, the next generation up and along. Those are tremendously helpful and successful in a shop. As a paint company, Matthews Paint, Paul and I are the tech reps, and we often, as we're out with our sales team visiting shops and helping with technical problems or doing small trainings inside shops, we can come in for visits from time to time. It is a scheduling issue there because there's only two of us, and the United States and Canada are large territory for us to cover, but we get around and travel as much as we can. And then the highest is to take 2 days and come into one of our training classes that we offer in one of our training centers around the country. We're just in the process of posting our schedule right now. It's going to be live on our website next week for all of our training classes for 2026. So taking time to get into one of those is irreplaceable because not only do you get 2 days with Paul or myself, which is helpful and beneficial, but you're outside of your shop, outside of the distractions and the noise and everything else that goes on in the shop. the best part of the training class is you're in a room full of other sign companies from other markets or different places, and everybody's in the same situation. They all build signs, they all paint signs, they all run into problems, and everybody's got different levels of experience and education, and everybody comes in, and the discussions in the room are irreplaceable. So it's the best part of paint training. And on top of that, we feed you well. So the meals are free, the training is free. All you got to do is figure out transportation to get to the training center and then a hotel room for a night or two, and you're good to go.
Hey,
So,
Duane,
yes,
there's a question about the list of training dates. Is that posted on your site?
it is coming on our site next week. It'll be on matthewspaint.com. Scroll down. I can show you at the end of this training where it will be, but scroll down near the bottom, and there's a box section on the bottom of the website specifically for training. You click that box and you'll see all of our classes over on the right-hand side of the screen.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great question. I can demonstrate that at the end. Another thing you can do for productivity is utilizing all the available technologies, this best word we can come up for it, in the paint shop. So there's all kinds of color matching tools. Color matching tends to delay things from time to time, getting to the right color. So using our color chip decks or our color selector book, following the corporate color programs for something like Truist Bank or something where we've got a pre-matched color that we offer, the Truist Purple or something like that for our corporate programs. Having access to our formulas gives you, if you've got Matthew's online color access or our paint manager system, inside of there, we have matched the most popular, some of the most common paint colors from Sherwin-Williams, from AkzoNobel, from Axalta, from all the other paint companies. That any popular color in the sign painting world, we've probably matched it at some point somewhere along the way. So if you've got a BASF color code, you can put that in and you'll be able to find that color in Matthew's paint. There are also spectrophotometers, which are commonly known as color cameras. These go from very cheap and easily accessible things. They look like little 35 millimeter camera film devices that read, they shine a beam of light and read at one angle, to the newest and fanciest color spectrophotometers. We're looking to launch one in 2026 that will read the color at 6 different angles. And that's still in process and something we're looking forward to next year. And of course, our paint manager software is invaluable in ease of looking up colors. You can, any piece or part of the color code or color name, you can just start typing that into the search box and find as many different options as we have as far as those colors go inside a paint manager. It's an awesome piece of technology that will work for you. So using all these things will help avoid bottlenecks as well in your paint shop when it comes to color matching. And then lastly, last thing we have here on this presentation is avoid redos at all cost. And that's what everything that we've talked about up to this point really points at, because redos are the absolute worst thing you can do in a shop that's already resource constrained and physical space constrained, and there's already bottlenecks that naturally happen. Planning the jobs ahead of time, not overscheduling, making sure you got all the right products, you're not painting things the wrong color. Anytime you have to do a redo, it costs you as your shop, whoever owns a shop or runs a shop or is responsible for it, it costs that shop money 3 times when you have a redo. Because when there's a redo, there's an initial paint job, which you are getting paid for. It's part of the price of the sign. You're getting paid to paint that job. But there's cost in that job of labor for the employees and paint materials, the utilities in the shop, everything. It costs money, but that's being covered by getting paid for the job. But when there's a redo, you've got to do it again, and all that stuff gets wiped away. You're doing it all for free. You're doing the second paint job. You're not having any income from that second paint job to cover the expenses, the resource, the labor, the paint, all those things. You're having to pay for it out of pocket. But the hidden cost for doing a redo is when you're painting that job a second time, there's not, you've lost an opportunity to put another proactive, profitable job in the booth. So your expenses go negative because there's not a job, another productive job going through in the booth when you're redoing the first one. So accidents are going to happen. Things are going to get scratched, or a run here or there, or something that's got to be addressed. That's human nature. That's going to happen. But accidents from, or redos from, scheduling, or wrong color, or you get halfway through a job and you don't have everything to finish it. These are the ones that proper planning and doing the job right the first time, every time, you can avoid the vast majority of your redos by taking all this stuff in mind and planning and communicating with every department to make sure everything's on hand to get it through the shop. So what's next? Evaluate your shop, talk to your team. Where are your pain points in the shop? If it's the paint booth, what things can we change immediately and for long term? Changing the workflow and the processes and the procedures inside a shop isn't something like you drop a dime and it's done and it's fixed and everybody's on board. It's a cruise ship turning around. It's a couple of degrees at a time. So a couple of small things you can do, and then keep adding and keep building and make your shop much more efficient and not have any bottlenecks. This gets buy-in from your team, gets everybody on board. And even if you do small little changes, small steps are still steps in the right direction. So you do all these things, you plan, you execute, and you make everything better the next time. And I appreciate it. That is my presentation. I got 3 or 4 minutes here to address any questions that came in. So Heather, if you want to read those, I'll happy to address them.
Would you recommend painting a vinyl awning? Is there a suitable primer or a flex additive?
Yes, we can paint vinyl awnings. We do it all the time. The best primer is our tie bond or spray bond adhesive. And you don't have to do any scuffing or sanding. You just clean it real well, blow it off with air, and use tie bond or spray bond. And then if you're using our N series, which is our by far most popular paint line, it would be necessary to add a flex additive into that. And that's added at half a part. So our normal mix ratio is 3 to 1 to 1, and the flex is an additional half. So 3 parts of paint, 1 part of catalyst, 1 part of reducer, half a part of flex.
Duane, it's absolutely amazing to me that you can just rattle off all of those things.
This is the world.
Just like, easy peasy. Yes, this is how you do it. And this is the math that goes along with it. So hopefully Jonathan, that was not Jonathan, that was Lewis. Hopefully Lewis is equally amazed with you. Jonathan is asking about a cool temp reducer.
Mm-hmm. So we used to have a specific cool temp reducer. The number was 6379 SP. And from what I described in the reducer, the couple of minutes that I spent on it, Paul and I were handling more technical calls from people running into problems with that reducer than that reducer was solving. So 2 or 3 years ago, we decided to eliminate 6379 from our lineup, and what used to be our medium temp reducer, the number's 45280 SP, is now, the label has changed. It is our cool to warm temperature reducer. And this is the fastest or coolest temperature reducer that we have. And it works plenty fast enough for even our customers up north that deal with real winter, and everywhere else across the country as well. It will evaporate quick enough, but not trap the solvent underneath, which was the problem that we were running into with 6379. So 45280 is your cool temp reducer now.
Perfect.
And I As new questions coming in, the thing keeps popping down on my screen. Looks like there's 11 in there. So
Yep.
I am not constrained to the 12:30 timeline. If
Okay.
everyone else is equal to or is available to stay along, I'll stay as long as.
Got some really good questions here. So we'll hang on for a little bit. If you have to drop off, we understand, but we'll try and get through all these questions.
Okay.
So Thomas is interested in some spray booth information. So Thomas, I've written your name down. I know you. Hello, Thomas. It's nice to see you on here. And we'll make sure to get with you and get you going on a spray booth. We would love to help you with that.
Okay.
Let's see. We have issues to get black paint at an even finish. Any tips that you can recommend?
Yeah, black tends to be one that I hear about the most with getting even finish. I assume the writer of that question was talking about sort of a modelly or blotchy appearance to the black paint. Three things that I recommend with black paint is reducer selection. Do not be afraid of the warmer temperature reducers. Tends to be a common theme. Spray gun setup is critical with black, making sure that the air pressure coming into the gun is up to but not over whatever that spray gun manufacturer recommends as the maximum, and then you balance your fluid and your fan to that air pressure. So making sure that your fan is full and uniform and not misshapen. If it's heavy on top and heavy on bottom and blowing out the center, you're going to have stripes. If it's not tall enough, stretched out enough, you're going to have a concentrated center and it's going to put it on too thick and too wet in the center and not enough in the top and the bottom of that spray pattern. So balancing that fan to the air pressure and the fluid coming into it is critical. And then as you're applying the paint, we recommend 75% overlap as you're going back and forth, left and right, or up and down, doing a cross coat. That helps as well. But those three things, reducer selection, setting up the spray gun, and 75% overlap will eliminate any problems with black and with metallic colors.
Sorry, I'm taking notes here. Eduardo, I will also make a note so we can follow up with you and hopefully that does help you. But I'll have someone reach out and make sure that you've got what you need. So that's the black paint. Okay, Craig has some questions about training. So Craig, I think I'm going to make a note that we can reach out to you. I think he's just asking what training is best. I think it really probably depends on his level. Would you agree with that, Duane?
We only have one training class,
There you go.
so yeah, it's available if you've been painting for years and years or are brand spanking new. So any
Right.
of the training classes that you can get to, just date and schedule. That would be the best way to, the only way.
So just come and learn.
Just come,
Just come
just
and learn.
come.
There you go,
You will
Craig.
learn something.
You don't have to even worry about it. You just pick the place you want to go and show up, and they will get you better. So,
As I'm talking about this is the Matthews Paint website.
oh,
You
perfect.
scroll down
Oh, we
almost all
can't
the way
see it,
down.
Duane. We're still on your PowerPoint.
Oh, I thought I escaped out of that. All right, so let
You
me.
have to drag it over.
Yep. I'm only on one monitor here, so let me get to. Okay. Stop share and then share. And let me get to. Uh, right here. Share. Okay, I think I did this right.
Yes, we
Okay,
can see it now. Yay.
right. So when you go to matthewspaint.com, this is what our website looks like if you've never been on it. But I'm going to scroll, since we're over time, a little bit quickly. But it's a big website. There's a lot on here. But as you scroll down, you see all these different sections. And as I get down to the bottom, there is a section that says training right here. Explore training programs. Down here, there's course info or register. You can click either button. And here
Oh, there you
are
go.
all, they are live now.
Oh,
Here
good.
are Here are our training dates for 2026. They're over here.
Craig, go grab that first one in Atlanta, and you can get trained up in February, it looks like. So there you go.
Absolutely. That's their first class next year, and
Unless,
I'll be
unless
teaching
you'd
that
rather go
class.
to some of these other places. Orlando might be fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like you need to go south, not north. So
true.
all right, let's see here. I had another question, but I think I don't see it now. Let's see. Let's go over here. So Bill has a question. Are there any particular paint colors that require more drying time before applying vinyl? That's an interesting one.
No, not color specific. Uh, that's a good question. So, applying vinyl on our data sheets for our color will tell you how long you should wait before applying vinyl. And without any accelerator in the color, I believe it is 2 days going off the top of my mind. I could verify that. So if you do apply, add accelerator into your color, it's the best way. And I teach that if anything needs to happen to the surface of whatever you painted after you paint it, meaning assembly quickly or vinyl application, you're installing trim cap, anytime you're doing something manual with a piece that's been painted, it's always better to put accelerator in there. It is just gonna help. So if you're applying vinyl on top of a painted surface, accelerator is going to be your best friends. We got a couple of options for you, but my favorite is our turbo accelerator 287484. It's going to help you out a ton.
The name at least helps on that one.
Yeah,
It's turbo. Yes.
turbo.
Even I can pick that one up. Okay, one more for you. Angela is asking about any recommendations for repainting on site. Black satin paint using a roller.
We have brush and roll additive and a specific brush and roll catalyst. So Matthews Paint does brush and roll pretty well, really good if you use both the brush roll catalyst and the brush roll reducer. If you want some part numbers, the brush roll catalyst is 43621 SP, and the brush roll additive is 47444 SP. These mixed together, this is one of the two times that our mix ratio is actually different. When you mix our paint this way for brushing and rolling, it mixes at 3 parts of paint, 1/2 part of this catalyst, and 1 full part of this brush roll additive. And it's real important with the additive. It comes in a quart can. Shake it up real well by hand before you pour it out of the can. It does have a resin inside that can that can settle if the can's been on the shelf for a while. So hand shake it up really good before you pour out of it. It helps make sure that that's going to work well for you. And then when you are brushing and rolling, make sure you use brushes and or rollers that are solvent resistant or that are designed for, quote, all paints, not just latex paint. And any rollers, you want short nap, 1/4 inch nap or less, going to give you less texture. And the foam rollers, I like the best. They work really well to use the foam rollers as well, as long as they are solvent resistant.
Well, Eduardo, you have amazed Eduardo too. He is very amazed with your ability to rattle these things off. We have
Nice.
one more question. So if there are any others, please get them in because I'm going to wrap with this one if I don't see any more. Bill had one more question. He says Bill is the one that asked about the paint colors that may require more drying time.
Yep.
He says we regularly use turbo accelerator, but still have jobs that seem to have issues. Is weather, humidity, temperature, any of those things, how do they factor in?
Sure. Yeah. All of those things matter. So for paint drying, there's 4 main factors. There's temperature, there's thickness, there's time, and there's airflow. And those 4 things all contribute together to make paint dry. And as all of those go up, the drying time tends to go faster. Well, except for thickness. Thickness is the opposite. The thicker the paint is, the slower it's going to dry. So if the paint is being applied really heavy, it can take longer. And if you're using turbo accelerator, I would ask you, how are you measuring it? We've got a chart on our website that will show you exactly how many grams of turbo accelerator to put in to make sure you're putting the right amount in, because just quote unquote a cap full or a few drops, sometimes that's not enough. And sometimes you need more. So getting that chart, you can reach out to me directly if you need it. I can email it to you. That way you put the exact right amount of turbo in, and all that works well. But the other parts of your question are true. The cooler the temperatures are, the longer things are going to take. So using the turbo accelerator is going to help tremendously. If you're in a cold part of the country and you don't have heat in the booth, my advice is spray in the booth for everything that's got to be sprayed. And then whatever you can do to get those pieces as warm as you can for as long as you can after you paint them are going to help. So whatever kind of heating you have in your shop, whether it be lights, whether it be little portable heaters or salamander heaters, if you're careful with them, anything you can do, opening up the booth doors and getting it out in the general shop, which could be warmer than inside the booth, whatever you can do to keep those pieces as warm as they can be for as long as they can be are going to help tremendously if you're having things dry slow.
And Bill is in a colder area. He's up north. So,
Okay. Yep.
and I have another, Ryan is asking about that he, sprays out and finishes around 2:30 in the afternoon. It's around 63 degrees in his shop. They leave for the night. When they come back in the morning, it's still soft. So that's
Yeah.
to do with temperature, it sounds like.
That, yeah, absolutely. We need to maintain 60 degrees or above in that shop overnight. So I
Okay.
know it's tempting to just click everything off, turn all the heaters off, and come back in the morning and warm the shop back up. But you got to remember, as the paint is drying, two things are happening. Solvents are evaporating out, and that slows down tremendously when it gets cold. And a chemical reaction is happening. You've got a catalyst in your paint that is um, forming a chemical reaction from the catalyst to the paint. They're connecting themselves together, and that liquid is physically transforming from a liquid to a solid. And when it gets too cold, that chemical reaction stops. So in the wintertime, in the cold areas, it's critical to leave some heat on in the shop and keep it at least passably warm overnight. Otherwise, your colors are going to come out shiny. They're not going to dry as satin as they should be, and it's going to take much, much longer days for them to completely firm up and for that chemical reaction to complete itself.
So is it best to be over 60 degrees, or is there an ideal temp? Just as long as it's above 60, it's okay?
Above 60 is okay. That's what we
Okay.
recommend.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we run into situations, stuff has to be painted outside or on site, like the brushing and rolling question was, and the temperature is the temperature. We deal with what we have to deal with. And if avoiding doing those in the wintertime is possible, by all means delay it and avoid it until springtime and temperatures warm up. But in all of our documentation, in writing at least, we don't recommend applying paint under 60 degrees, knowing that sometimes you have to. It's unavoidable, but that's where we would like you to be, is 60 degrees or above.
Got it. All right. This is going to be the last one, even though I keep saying
Okay.
it's the last one. Vicky has a question, and Vicky would also like the chart. So maybe Duane, we could get the chart that you referenced a moment ago,
Sure.
and we can get that out to all the folks on this webinar. So Vicky's asking about, is there an additive that could achieve more of a matte color versus a gloss or a semi-gloss or a satin?
Sure. The additive is SOA 955. This
Yeah.
is our matting clear additive binder is the name of this color or this product. And you mix your color, you pull our color formula, mix whatever color you want. It could be white, blue, pink, yellow, purple. It doesn't matter. Mix your color up, measure that color on the scale to see how many grams of color you have in your can, and add 40% of that color by weight. So 40% by weight of SOA 955 will make your satin color matte.
There you go.
And then you take that mixture together and you reduce it 3 to 1 with catalyst and reducer, and you will have a matte version of that color.
I think we need a session of just stump Duane. Like, let's see if we can get Duane stumped. How about that? I,
So the last thing I'll show, since we had a couple of requests for our for the accelerator chart,
yeah,
matthewspaint.com, our accelerator works a little weird. You have to scroll down a little bit for the menu to pop up. It's very strange to me. I don't know why they designed it this way, but this is it. So we've got a menu of things over here. If you click on literature, it'll jump you down to that section.
perfect.
Right here under additives, we've got all our accelerator mix charts.
Great.
And you want your accelerator mix chart by weight for in series or SOA. It's the same for both. You click on this, and there's your PDF. You can print it out and put it on the wall right next to your scale. And for however many ounces of color you have, turbo is over here on the right. This is how many grams of turbo you would put into that mixture.
Perfect.
And RTS stands for ready to spray. So you've got your color, catalyst, and reducer all ready to go. And then you add your accelerator in after that.
All right. Well, even though this wasn't a cold weather webinar, I feel like the weather really came into play, and I
Sure.
learned things. So hopefully the folks did. So Duane, anything else from you before we close out today?
No, I just want to thank everybody for their time. We went over, but I'm happy to do it, and I look forward to seeing all of you in training classes in the future, or getting by and stopping by your shop whenever I'm riding around with Glance reps or with our Matthews Paint reps. So thank you all very much for your business. We appreciate you and hope everybody has a happy holiday.
Thank you so much, Duane. It was a really great presentation. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful time with your families and friends, and we appreciate all of you. So
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thanks,
Thank
Heather.
you. Bye.